Joe presents Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Hello, and you're very welcome to Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby here on Joe, together with Guinness. Trimby, I want to start on a very positive note. We hit a serious milestone this week. We have now over 1 million views and listens to the show since our start in October.
Doesn't surprise me. If anything, I'm surprised that it's taken this long.
Really?
Yeah.
I like it. I like your attitude.
That's
a good kind of confident attitude.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
If I was in neutral, I would listen to the podcast. I would listen to it twice a week.
To double those numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, still on that point, I'd like to thank everyone for for listening and viewing, despite what Trimby says, because we're so grateful. Because it just means a lot to us.
No, I suppose we're grateful.
But do keep watching and keep listening, keep commenting and leaving your ratings and all that crack, because it means a lot to us. And to mark the occasion, Trimby has bought us both 2 brand new shirts. Mm-hmm. He actually bought 2 leopard print shirts, but my one didn't come, so I got a pineapple shirt instead. Is this what happened?
No, what actually happened was I bought myself a leopard print shirt, just not connected to the podcast. I just wanted to wear a leopard print shirt,
right?
And then I realized that it can't be done outside of the podcast. There needs to be a reason to wear this shirt. This shirt is, I'm sorry, like yours is grand, right? I love this.
Yeah, you'll wear it.
I wanted an excuse to wear this.
But will you wear it outside of the show?
No.
You'll take that off before you leave here today?
I'd say so, yeah.
Oh, come on. Wear it on the train home. Please.
Listen, if we don't hurry on, I'll not get the train home. Let's get the rugby.
You won't have time to take a shirt off.
Let's get the rugby out of the way, yeah?
No, not this week.
Anytime I wear anything or write anything on Twitter, I still have in my head, what will Rory say? If he sees me in this shirt, or if he reads what I said, any activity in my life is dictated by what would Rory say?
The overlord.
Yeah.
He has that over you, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Wow, I don't know if anyone, maybe Paul O'Connell might have a similar hold on me. Like he does. Jesus. Yeah. That's weird. We will be hearing from Rory later on. Pat met him for a brilliant chat, so stick around for that.
Didn't you say O'Connell gave you a hard time about your nose piercing?
He did. He was the first person. So when I got it done, I was coming home from Australia going, who will I be? And he just popped into my head, if I meet Paulie now, he'll judge me over it. And he was one of the very first people I met that day when I came back. Yeah. And he just goes, what's the story with the nose? For fuck's sake, or something like that.
He wouldn't be enormously open-minded, I wouldn't have thought, for stuff like that. I remember Gordon Darcy walking into a national team meeting wearing a cardigan. And yeah, exactly, yeah. And O'Connell did that then. Would you look at your man?
Who does he think he is? Yeah. Well, I wonder, he's coming home now?
Paulie is?
Yeah, he's moving home from Paris.
Oh, right, on his own terms.
I presume he's coming home anyway. Yeah. So he said that he's going to part from Stade at the end of this season.
Right.
He's not looking for another club, I think he said, and he's going to move home, which is brilliant because everyone in Limerick will assume that he's going to get involved in some way in either Limerick or Munster. But I wonder, is he become more Parisian?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah, like they come back with dreadlocks.
Friendship bracelets. Do you remember in Braveheart when William Wallace comes back to Scotland and but he can speak French and Italian, and everyone's like, whoa, he's not just a warrior, that he's like quite poetic. But O'Connell came back like pure poetic, and then they get himself in, like, do you remember when William Wallace and Hamish go throwing rocks at each other?
Yeah, you'll move, I'll not move.
So they get himself and John Hayes throwing stones at each other.
You'll move, bro. You'll move.
I won't move. I won't move, O'Connell. Fucking stones at each other. Oh, if Gary is listening, our genius video cartoon guy who did the
cocktail.
Jacob Cocktail. If Gary, can you stick Paul O'Connell's head on William Wallace's head and John Hayes's and get them throwing stones at each other?
Also, can you get like someone with like long blonde dreadlocks with like board shorts, an anklet, and a shark's tooth necklace, and superimpose O'Connell's face on it? Come back from his gap year. You know, people hate it when we do this.
Laugh.
Yeah, when we like giggle all the way through.
Yeah, we get a lot of abuse over that. Well, this week's going to be different because I feel like the rugby every week, the rugby world is we're brought in on this show to judge it and to kind of see what's going on, like as if the rugby world is like a cauldron of food that has been like a stew or something. And every week we come and we stick our finger in and we taste it and we're like,
needs more tries.
Needs more rugby or needs less rugby or whatever. And last week was so rugby intensive. We were like, rugby. Drowning in it. Because after the Six Nations, the Irish rugby community were a little bit... They were a bit sick after it. After what happened. The cauldron didn't taste great.
Undercooked rugby.
It was a bit sour. Maybe it gave us the shits a little bit. we were a bit had upset tummies over it. So we came in and we tasted it and we were like, needs better rugby. And then last week it was perfect. There was so much goodness. Yeah. And then we spoon fed everyone. It was like, Connacht gave us a little... Not a great starter, but a little salad at the start last week. They didn't play particularly well, but they had a week inside out, so it was okay. And then Munster was the main course, and we just wanted to get through that. So it was like meat and 2 veg, like steak, a bit of veg. Just get something in there solid, just to get our bellies settled. And then the dessert was Ulster, Leinster, that cracker of a game, just like... triple chocolate with chocolate sauce and ice cream and nom.
Yeah. I was tasting the Ulster recipe and I was like, that is almost perfect. Just needs a little bit more correctly grounded ball.
The cocktail was a bit too strong, was it? Not enough alcohol in this cocktail, actually. So this week I find we've tested the cauldron and I was like, rugby's grand. It's fine. Rugby's doing its thing now. Yeah. We're back on form. Yeah. So we can talk about whatever we want now.
Rugby's fixed.
Yeah. And the weekend was fine. We'll get to that. But is there any tangents you'd like to take in particular, like any analogies? Or?
Did you see? Well, I actually I meant to bring back Balderdash on the train on the way down. I started by looking at Balderdash and I came across Sebastian Chabal.
I saw this
singing "I Will Walk 500 Miles." At the Hong Kong Sevens. And I thought, if that had been one of my Balderdash options, you'd have gone, not a chance. Is that what Chabal's doing? No, no way.
So explain that again to everyone, what happened.
So he, so put this in context. Chabal, do you remember famously, I think it might have been at the World Cup in France in 2007, Chabal was asked by a journalist, do you mind if I ask you a question in English? And Chabal replied, no, we are in France, we speak French.
Yes, yeah.
So he, to me, seems like a man of principle.
Right.
Fast forward 12 years, and he's singing a Scottish song to a bunch of drunk rugby supporters in Hong Kong, dressed as a caveman, importantly.
On the pitch.
Actually, you know what? There was a little bit
he had a little bit of leopard print with a bit of fur.
Like
and singing "I Will Walk." What's the relevance of singing "I Will Walk"?
I think that's a Sevens anthem, like a Hong Kong Sevens. They all sing that over there.
I saw it and I was like, "What?" Even the commentators like, "What is?"
I know,
going
no one knew
here?
how to follow up on that.
So I looked it up. He's sponsored by that. Whatever, I think it might have been is it like MasterCard or some company?
I can't remember. Yes, you're right. Something like that. Yeah. He's an ambassador for whoever it is.
Yeah. So this is their plan for him. Is like what we should do is, and he was okay with it.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate
Yeah.
sellout.
Is that rock bottom?
It is. Really
Says
is.
us here in the pineapple and leopard print shirts. We're not a million miles off it.
Way beyond rock bottom.
You know, he did something similar a while back though, 2014. He was an ambassador for a currency fair and did an advert dressed up as the currency fairy.
Oh my God. Okay, so this is his thing.
It must be.
Ah, that's a bit different then.
Yeah.
It's just being a gas fecker then.
Yeah.
Right, well, is there anything else that's... I always felt Mushy, Tony Buckley, who we call Mushy, obviously. I don't know why he's called Mushy, but
Yeah, I don't know where that came
he's always
from.
called Mushy. That he should have been the ambassador for Mushy Peas by... Were they the Green Giant? He kind of looked like the Green Giant.
Green Giant.
Green Giant. He kind of looked like him. And I just thought he might.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
if I was
like-
his agent, I'd have been like, man, need to get you all over these Mushy Peas.
Yeah. Do you know Hugo Southwell, the
Yeah.
Scottish fullback?
13 fullback, yeah.
Yeah, apparently he got in touch with Hugo Boss and wanted to become an ambassador because his name's Hugo.
That's definitely not true, but someone spread it.
I think it is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Simon Daniela told me. Sorry, drop you in it, Dan.
Let's go with it.
Yeah.
Um,
And any other ones? There's yeah.
I can't remember many.
Well, there's the most recent one with Rory and Specsavers.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that later. Pat interviewed him.
Yeah.
I thought I was like, how are they going to segue into Specsavers at the end of this? Because he's wearing a Specsavers shirt. But they actually did quite well.
Yeah.
We'll hear that and then we'll judge him. But they actually did well.
I look forward to judging them.
Um,
And then put my phone off the hook and put it on airplane mode.
never leave the house again.
I know. And there's Rory outside.
I watched Hook the other day, the film.
Oh, yes. What a show.
What a film.
Yeah.
It's obviously Robin Williams, classic,
Yeah.
someone everyone loves. Dustin Hoffman is also amazing.
Yeah.
He's the pirate, he's Hook, essentially.
Yeah.
And I was watching it going, good, this is my work done for the podcast this weekend. So he kind of loses his way. The story is Peter Pan, he's class, but he's forgotten how to be Peter Pan. So he's started kind of being a little bit crap. And he's trying to find out how to be Peter Pan again. And Hook is like the bad guy and he's having a pop off him and so on. And he goes to Never Neverland, which, let's say Never Neverland is rugby, the world of rugby.
Okay, yeah.
And everyone's laughing at him because he hasn't been doing very well as Peter Pan. He's
grown up.
He's grown up.
He's got a
and
mortgage.
He's a bit serious,
Yeah.
and his game plan is probably a little bit easy to read or something. So the Lost Boys are then like the fans, the Irish rugby fans, and some of them are like, nah, that's not Peter Pan. He's not. He's too old. He's gone past it. And then others are like, no, we still think it's Peter Pan, especially that little chubby lad who could throw into a little bowling ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. He still believes in Peter Pan. And then he, Tinkerbell kind of teaches him how to become Peter Pan again. It's like to go back to your provinces and find joy and happiness again. And start playing with happiness and love good again. And then you'll come back and win the World Cup in 6 months and you'll be Peter Pan.
Yeah, just get away from anybody who's provincially different to you. Yeah. What we need to do is become more insular.
Yeah.
Only hang out with Ulster players, and you'll be grand.
Yeah. Only pass to Ulster players when you're with Ireland and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be the new game plan.
I always thought, actually it was Johnny Sexton pointed this out, you know Rufio?
Yes.
Rufio looks like Tiernan O'Halloran.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He does. He dies in it. I forgot.
Rufio dies in, does he?
He gets killed.
Jeez, I don't remember that.
Yeah, Hook kills him. It's quite a serious part.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I do know this now. I remember this now, yeah. And then Robin Williams is raging. He's really up for that last fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
One other thing, do you know the way Peter Pan's son goes over to Hook and spends time with him, and then Peter Pan arrives and says, "Come home, son," and he goes, "I am home." And he steps behind Hook.
He's a bit of a prick.
That's Joey Carberry. Leo comes in and he says, Joey, come home. And Joey goes, I am home, and steps behind Johan van Graan.
We're not evil. We're not Hook. Munster and Hook.
No, yeah.
Come on, we'll
You
take
doesn't
it.
Hoffman.
The little kids.
You're an Oscar winner.
yeah. I'll take it. Double Oscar winner,
Double.
I'd say. Yeah, he's great, man. Dustin Hoffman's the champion of that film. Anyway, that's it. That's all they need to do is find their joy and fly. They can fly then.
Yeah.
Be grand.
What time is it?
So look, a quick one. I thought while we were talking about random stuff, there's a few random things that me and Pat, or Pat actually suggested that we should try and ask each other. So this neck of the woods, this time of year, tickets for games and stuff like that become quite annoying, don't they?
Yes.
How did you handle that?
Tickets for Ulster games especially are a nightmare.
Really?
Because you only get access to...
Yeah, and it's a small stadium.
Yeah, small. Yeah, and you only get 2 tickets, really. And then
Do you only get 2 tickets?
You always try and buddy up with a foreigner who maybe if their missus aren't coming to the game, then you can get their tickets. So as soon as foreign guys come in, everybody's like, hey, mate, how's things? Everything's for the weekend.
Did you only get 2 tickets, really? The option to buy a few more, surely. You're probably better off only having 2 tickets, aren't you? Just being like, sorry, don't have any.
Sorry, I think you're right. We might have got 3 at one stage, but anyway, it would have been very. So with Ireland, you'd have got 2 maybe 4 complimentary, and then you could have bought 6.
6?
Yeah.
Wow.
So with
That's
Ireland,
good.
obviously, you're in good shape.
Yeah. Yeah, I always find, even for gigs now, for us, it's pretty annoying. Like, our guest list is insane. Gross. Because you can cram people into, they don't need seats, essentially. So, yeah, we gigs in King John's Castle in Limerick last year, we had 200 people on the guest list. Like,
Oh, really?
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Most of them, my
Not
family.
very profitable.
Most of them, my family, yeah.
Yeah.
So buy your tickets.
I always find that maybe in the run up to Six Nations, if I was playing well and looked like I was going to get in the mix, 1 or 2 people would start to get in touch,
Sniffing around.
and I would just enjoy the awkwardness of them trying to find their way around, asking me for tickets.
Yeah.
To make it awkward.
Yeah. Okay.
No, don't give them don't guys. Do you need tickets for the weekend? No, just keep changing the subject.
The other thing we were talking about was training gear. What would you have done with all your training gear now that you're retired? Did you hoard much of it? So I was doing that Marie Kondo thing again at the weekend.
Oh right, yeah. Hugging it and then
hugging and letting go of my clothes, and I found some gear. That I was
really?
What would you have done with all your gear?
I give loads of it to a mate of mine, one mate, and then he distributed it to everybody. So I would see, occasionally, I would see strangers with AT on their sleeve.
That they've given it away to them. Yeah. It's like, thanks, man.
Yeah. I remember giving.
shops.
Yeah, I gave my 2 brother-in-laws like a couple of like tracksuit tops and stuff. And they were like, "Oh, thanks," and then I would just go in their wardrobe. They had no interest in wearing, because you got to that stage where your mates are like, "I don't want to be wearing rugby gear."
Hand-me-down clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've so much of it at home that like I used to bring my gear bag down to UL Bohemians and I'd just put it into the dressing room and let the players take whatever they wanted. But I'd hold on to any jerseys that were special or anything like that. And I'd love to be able to wear them at some point. Do you remember when it was okay to wear rugby jerseys?
Yeah, I know.
In like 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
And now it's...
But is that not just because we were youngsters, though? I don't think it was okay for people our age now that were living back then to wear rugby. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's just because we were young. I remember wearing my Korean instant medallion, like medallion junior cup jersey, and...
Oh, they meant the actual medal, sorry.
Oh, yeah. That's what they call it, like the under 15s, like the medallion shield.
Okay.
And then the whole thing was you get in assembly before the junior cup or the medallion shield starts, then you get presented with a Korean Inst badge, and then you sew it on your jersey the night before the game, and you sew on your number at the back.
Really? Do it yourself?
Yeah, so then
cool.
it came like pretty cool. Yeah. Like the jersey all of a sudden was kind of accessorized.
Yeah.
And then I wore that all the time, flat out.
Okay. Do you still have that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I have a couple from school.
Mum and Dad maybe still have it. I'll have a look.
We
should do that for a...
School's jersey?
Yeah, I'm bound to have a good
Yeah,
Inst.
I have a Munchins jersey.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
So if that's the case, then we don't need these anymore. Let's give these away for the O'Connell.
No, never gonna get a pineapple shirt again. I've loads of leopard print ones.
This was like $9.99 on Amazon. we should provide some sort of a prize for the Rugby Roundup Player of the Week.
Okay, I have as a prize. So I went looking through some gear and I realised that I hoarded some gear just for the fact that it was so shit that I was like, I need to keep this. So I found a pair of Timberland boots, like the Caterpillar boots, that Timberland embroidered our initials into the back of them, and I have them here. I want to show you these fucking things.
Timberland always reminds me of O'Connell.
Look at these shoes.
Oh,
man.
yes.
In red, BM. Obviously, I've never worn them. They're 12 years old. They sit out my back garden now. But they gave us them with a pair of 3/4 length beige cargo pants that used to come to like just below the knee. And you were supposed to wear them with those and like a white shirt.
Sorry, who gave you this?
Timberland. They sponsored us. Isn't that insane?
I had
Mick O'Driscoll used to wear them with 3/4 lengths. Yeah. They're appalling. So yeah, we can give them away to whoever wins something.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, if it's those we're giving away, then this will kind of manipulate our decision on who's going to win the prize.
Right.
Because someone not very fashionable might look okay in those.
That's probably why I was holding them for so long. That they might come back around and be fashionable.
Yeah.
Or someone not fashionable.
Because what I was going to say, well, if we were giving away the shirts as the prize, I want to see O'Mahony in this.
Okay.
So no matter how he plays, even if he's injured, even if he doesn't play at the weekend,
just give it to him.
He's winning.
I doubt he would. Well, you can give that to Bestie. I'll give that to Paul O'Connell.
Okay, yeah.
Just present it to them. Who has the balls to do it?
Rory, we were in when we were in Chicago at the time we beat the All Blacks. I told you about this before. Rory is an absolute golden balls. It was me, Craig Gilroy, and Rory were just dandering around, going for coffee, look around the shops or something. I think we were in H&M and we were playing this game. The other two had to decide what the other one had to wear. So we were going, right, get them in something stupid, getting them in something like this, effectively, right? And me and Gilly went, there is a great turtleneck. I'd love to see Rory in a turtleneck. So we stuck him in a turtleneck. He looked class. I was so gutted. What an absolute golden balls. He looked great in it.
He looked like a bit of a Bond villain or something like that.
Yeah. I've got a picture of it. I'll put it up on Twitter.
Put it up on Twitter,
Yeah. He genuinely looked really. I think he had like a velvet jacket over the top of it as well.
Of course.
Yeah, he nailed it. He nailed the look.
$1 million. Well, Pat, we must listen to this because I really enjoyed this interview that Pat did with him last week, and he gives us a lovely little mention as well. So here you go, Rory Best.
It's great to get these lads in, their test quality as well, but good for someone like Eric O'Sullivan that like you have someone like Jack McGrath coming up and these guys are going to be fighting with each other every week for position.
Yeah, look, it's massive. You know, Eric's the sort of guy he's a sponge for information. You know, no matter what you tell him, he just wants to get better. He wants to learn. And I think to have a British Lion in his position up there for him to learn off, for them to share the game time, and look, ultimately, it's great that you're going to have that competition for places, and you know with Dan McFarland, like whoever's playing the best will start for Ulster, and whoever isn't will be on the bench and will be asked to make a big impact when they come on. So look, I think it's really exciting from an Ulster point of view to bring up a British Lion, you know, to be signing an Irish qualified British Lion of the quality that Jack brings, just even more than that, the fact that he's just such a really good guy. You know, I think you got to build your squad, the foundation have got to be your playing ability, but I think what adds to that is just how you interact with the squad, how collective, how tight you can be amongst that, and Jack is just a really good guy around the place.
And a good few kind of Dublin accents around the Ulster training session as well. Are these boys good for getting involved in the Belfast lifestyle as well, or did some of them just hit the road back down to Dublin the minute training is over?
No, every one of them now live up in Belfast, and you know, I think that was probably part of the thing with Jack, is that I'm sure he spoke to Geordie and Marty and sort of, you know, said what's it like, and look, I hope that they've enjoyed their time, and I hope that Jack does as well when he comes up. But look, those guys have all bought into everything we're trying to achieve, and look, ultimately the goal for us is to get more Ulster-born players into that team. But at the same time, I think it's really important when you're bringing in guys that aren't born in Ulster that they are top class. You know, I don't think you want to bring in second-rate players. And over the last 18 months with the signings, with the three that I've mentioned, with Geordie, Marty, and Jack McGrath, you know, they're international class players. These are top drawer players that are coming up just now. So, you know, it's very much they're the calibre of player you want to sign.
And I was chatting to Barry and Andrew before we knew the interview was coming up, and I had asked if they had any questions. And Trimby's big question that he seems to ask everybody is, are you a fan of the show? That's all he cares about.
I'm a big fan of Barry now, so Andrew could take or leave. So I could. No, I think it's, in all seriousness, I think, you know, it's obviously, it's been a few years for Barry and he's done a lot between, but just it's really interesting to see the transition from professional sport into what your new career is going to be, and I think Andrew, you know, doing that, I think they're very good at it, and Barry, like obviously the success he had with Hermitage Green and now into this, you know, I think it's great to see, and two guys that I played a lot of rugby with, it's just great to see them succeeding and getting on with life, and they seem to be really enjoying it.
And for yourself as well, like I know it's the focus is all the World Cup now, and hopefully you can get back and play again for Ulster as well, but the focus is all on that World Cup. But again, like now the retirement is kind of being mooted up the line. Are you thinking of ways, like, you know, is your head already drifting towards that next level, or what you're going to do after rugby?
I think probably the big thing is that, like, obviously I have the farming to fall back on. It's something that since I was a wee boy, I've loved farming. I've loved always being out on the farm with my dad when I was younger, and then whenever I got a bit older, you know, just doing what I was told by my dad and my brother. But it's something that's in me. It's something that I really enjoy doing. But I think rugby also it's afforded me a lot of experiences in terms of travel, but also in terms of the people you meet, the companies that you work with, and the people you get involved with. And look, I hope that there's maybe some opportunities around that with people that I've met who like what I do or what I stand for, and maybe want to do some work with me in the future, and they're the sort of opportunities that I hope will maybe come my way, and maybe something will get me really excited. And I don't think you'll ever replace the buzz of, say, the Aviva Stadium on Saturday in that quarter-final, but it might be something very different that you can get your teeth into and get excited about it in a very different way from a rugby match.
I was looking back, and just the first time you Captain Ireland, I think, was on that 2009 tour. It was over to North America, wasn't it, as well? But before that, had you ever, like, what captaincy experience with Ulster? Was it a couple of years before that, or a couple of experiences?
Yeah, I took over Ulster captain in 2007 from Simon. Simon he retired after that World Cup in 2007 and in with Ulster, and that was it was a fairly tough start. It was very much a baptism of fire, because Mark McCall shortly after that left. So I was there as a very young captain, kind of trying to balance between, you know, staying together as a squad, making sure we made the right decisions, and I was there, I didn't really know what to do, and I lent on Simon quite a bit during that period, just to kind of go, he wasn't in the squad at that stage, but I was kind of there going, like, what am I meant to do here? You know, there's this happening, you know, the results weren't going on, there was pressure coming on, and look, ultimately he probably gave me a few words then that I've tried to captain sides by before. He said, like, ultimately control what you can in terms of your own performance, and people will follow that, and if they don't, then at least you can hold your head up and say, well, look, I did everything I could.
And there was a thing, I remember in the past, there was you spoke about how when the anthems come on now, I was even just thinking back to the Wales game there in the Six Nations where Alan Wynne-Jones, you could just see the veins bulging on his neck, but you were saying you don't really sing for anthems anymore because you don't want to get too pumped up. But was there a time where you actually did get too emotional maybe?
Yeah, well, it was an Ireland schools game, I remember it, and belted out Ireland's call, and I think we kicked off, they caught the ball, kicked it out, line out, and I'd say if someone was standing on the guy's shoulders, he still wouldn't have caught it. And look, I don't know whether it's down to that or whether then I just didn't practice as much as I should do, but it was very much, I sort of went, well look, whenever it comes to the cold-hearted line out, you've got to take a little bit of emotion out of it, and it's just got to be deadly accuracy. And like whether it happened or not, or whether it helped or not, it certainly probably has done me no harm since the Ireland schools days, way back in 2000.
And there's, I suppose in terms of like, do you have like an ideal day, like, you know, even something that you might, some of the tough days when you're kind of training, because I know everybody always says when they retire, it's the training that they won't miss at all, like, but are there days that you kind of look ahead to and go, like, if you had an ideal day, what would it be? It's something completely non-rugby related.
Rugby, oh, it would probably be, it'd be get up in the morning and just have time to have breakfast with the kids, you know, because that's the sort of time when they can come out with anything in the morning, so they can. And then it would be probably go and maybe play a bit of golf in the morning, meet my wife for lunch, and honestly, I would spend the afternoon on the lawnmower, cutting the grass. I absolutely love cutting the grass.
I heard, is Peter O'Mahony the same as that?
Well, I'm not to that extent. Like I enjoy cutting the grass. I'm not obsessed with it. Now he's obsessed with his lawn. I see he's scarified it 3 times over the last couple of days to get it ready for a bit of growth in springtime. Now he's mad about his lawn and stripes, and I think when you go to the house, he barely lets you walk on it. So. It's no, I do enjoy cutting the grass, but not to that extent.
I've heard some of the Munster lads have gone and just thrown big stones on the lawn just so we could mess up his lawnmower or something.
Yeah, there's all sorts. I think Jared Payne, when he played, kept threatening to go down with a weed killer and write his name on the lawn and stuff like that. And you know, Pete being Pete with the way he is, basically threatened him back probably with violence.
Yeah. I was just kind of thinking about you're here chatting to us today with the kind of protective casing around your ankle there as well, and thinking back to the World Cup when, you know, before that Wales game when you kind of had the neck issues and there was worries whether you're going to play or not, and that game against the All Blacks where you broke your arm and kept playing on for 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Is it going to, I remember asking Sean O'Brien this, like, what's your body going to be like when you finally retire? Like,
it's kind of one of those that you'll worry about that when it comes. Like ultimately, I'm very privileged to play rugby for this length of time. I didn't think I thought at one stage I wouldn't get into my 30s, never mind to 36, hopefully be 37, going to a World Cup. So look, the one thing I do know is sort of talking to a few people, like even somebody like Lawrence Delalio was saying, like, he had a lot of injury problems over his career, and I said, you know, like, how are you coping now? And he said, it's funny, whenever you wake up on a Monday morning and you haven't played a game, but your body still thinks it's going to play the next week, so it's still trying to recover at a rate of knots. And he said it's the best he's ever felt, was shortly after retirement. So look, I'll cling to that rather than some of the other horror stories about people having to get out of bed sideways, and Tommy Bowe with his knees swelling up after playing a bit of indoor football and stuff like that. So look, I think it'll be cross that bridge when it comes to it, and you know, do whatever I need to. But if I have to lay off the gym for a bit when I retire, you know, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Yeah. and you're talking about the whole thing about like spending time with the kids as well, and we've seen it in the photos in the last few years as well of like maybe Ben or something like that being out on the pitch, you're in the dressing room as well. Is that one of the great things now, like in the last few years you look back on and have your kids out there for so many big moments? Yeah,
it's something that I think when we decided to have a family reasonably shortly after getting married, and we were supposed to be reasonably young, like part of the thought process was that it'd be nice for them to share in some of the moments. Now, I think at that point we probably thought that Ben would be at the most 2 or 3 by the time that I retired. Now, Ben's now 8, he'll be 9 in June, so he now will definitely remember. You know, I think the thought process was, well, at least we get some photos with Ben on the pitch that when he's older we can show him. But he's very aware, he's a massive rugby fan, and you know, Jodie's great because she brings him to everything, and it's something that, it was Clinton Tchaikovsky that used to play with Ulster. It was his wife said to Jodie when we were engaged, saying about how they felt it was really important that the kids went to the games to see that Dad just doesn't play rugby for a bit of fun and get paid for it, that it's actually, you know, it's a tough way, you know, it's a tough existence, a tough way to earn your money at times, and that they appreciated everything that Clinton went through, and Jodie kind of, that meant a lot to her, and she took that on board, and that's part of the reason. The other part is that Jodie wouldn't be allowed to go to a game now without Ben. He goes to Ulster games that I'm not playing in, that Jodie won't go to. He's a proper rugby fan, but certainly the other two, Richie, especially being the youngest, his'll more be memories that he can see in the photographs, and we can say, oh, do you remember that game? Oh, Richie, you were on the pitch, and that sort of thing. And it's really, family's important to me, and it's really important that they share that with me.
And is Jody someone who, because I know Trimby would say that with Anna, that she doesn't like movies and she doesn't like rugby, so he's in a corner a lot of the time. Is Jody someone who, will she listen to you? Will she hear you? Is she someone like a good sounding board, or does she want to even know about rugby?
Oh no, she listens. She knows that, especially being captain. You need to be able to get things off your head, off your chest. You need to be able to speak, to get, and she's very good in that she listens. And most of the time, like, she's known me for so long, she knows that whenever I'm telling her something, that I'm telling her to also give my opinion. And then, like, most of the time she just lets me talk, and sometimes she'll go, listen, I don't think that's the right thing to do, and then I'll go away and think about it and come back and go, yeah, I agree with you. But look, she's been great. She's obviously, we've gone out for a very, very long time, so she's seen me come right up through school system, right up into obviously national captain and Lions tours. So she's seen a lot of the heartbreak as well as the ecstasy. So look, she knows what I've went through, and she knows what I require to make sure that I can perform at the top level, and she's very, very supportive of that.
And you were talking there about maybe the whole thing about Ben might only just be younger when you retired. Like, so was that, maybe when you were hitting your 30s, did you think you might be retiring? Like, was there ever a serious conversation where you thought, last World Cup even, or? I
think probably the big one was the neck injury in 2009. I sort of thought that's whenever it dawned on me that you won't play rugby forever, and that's when I started to buy the cattle and looked a bit for a plan B. But I think what happens when you turn 30 is everyone around you tells you that, oh, right, well, this is it, this is your last contract, you're 30. And it's kind of, I suppose, in that regard, and like I say, Jodie is really good as well. She goes, well, like, why? Just because you're 30, do you think you're playing any worse? And I suppose, given my nature, is very much, if you tell me I can't do something, I go, well, I'm going to show you I can. So whenever people start to say you're 30, you're done, and that's probably part of the reason I feel that I've probably played my best rugby since I turned 30. It's not something that I've talked about. It's something that I've probably been aware about, getting into your 30s, because you're never 100% sure. You hope that you'll play well enough to get that next contract, but until it's in front of you, you don't have that same security. So, look, I've been aware of it, but I've been really trying not to get distracted by it. That the rugby ultimately is the most important thing, and opportunities that I talked about earlier come around because of your rugby. They don't come around because of the nice person you are. And that's the thing that I've always said is important, is that never sacrifice your rugby for something else, for a PR event, or for going to get something free, or doing, rugby comes first, and if you can fit the rest in around it, then that's brilliant.
And what is it, there's a famous story that Stephen Ferris told me before about this tour to Australia and New Zealand 2008, and a bleep test, and yourself and Jerry Flannery battling it out. Is this true that you were so determined to kind of put one over in Fla?
It was a bit of a fitness session. I obviously read it in Stevie's book, and Jerry's a very, very determined guy as well, so I'm not 100% sure that I necessarily, but I do remember doing a fitness session out there, and we were definitely going hammer and nail at each other now, and I wouldn't be so bold as to say that I definitely won out. But I think the thing with my rivalry with Fla was that he probably showed me what to get to the next level, where your fitness and conditioning needed to be, because he, in fairness to him, he was a machine at that, and I came in and I was a wee bit more, I wasn't in the shape that I wanted to be in, or that not that I wasn't, it was more, I wasn't in the shape that I needed to be in. I thought I was in okay shape until I saw him, and that kind of, I looked at that and went, right, well, he's starting now. Well, if I want to get past him, I've got to be as fit as him, and that made me knuckle down and work really, really hard. So, like, that's where people talk about competition for places. That's where it is invaluable, especially when you have a player of his ability. And it definitely, I don't know what his rivalry with me did for him, but certainly from my point of view, it drove me on to try to be better.
And the last thing I was going to ask you there was, there was a recent episode on the UK's House Rugby with James Haskell and Joe Marler, and they were both talking about the Leinster as well, and both of them are massive fans of yours as well. And we were kind of wondering why. What's this kind of secret ingredient that you have?
I don't know, maybe I'm just likeable. I don't know. Like, I think with that Lions tour, like, having been on the previous one and seen the way, and look, it has to happen in Lions tours because ultimately it's about the Test series. No one cares. If we had lost 3-0 to the All Blacks but won all our midweek games, it would have been an unsuccessful tour. So it's ultimately all about the Test series. So to prepare for that, you got to get your Test team reasonably well sorted. There'll always be one or two people coming in and out of that, but reasonably well sorted. So what that does, it means the midweek team. And I remember in 2013, basically the midweek team, nobody cared about them. I was inexperienced. I didn't really know what was going on. And this time round, I sort of made a pact to myself that if I'm not, I want to be a Test Lion, but if I'm not, I'm going to make sure that we don't go out with a whimper the way we did in 2013 in midweek, that we are going to enjoy that midweek games. We're going to play the best we could, but ultimately we're going to have a bit of crack, prepare the Test team and be good in that. And I suppose from my point of view, the best way to have crack is to go out dinner, a few drinks, and I think maybe they all love to blame me for that. Nobody held a gun to their head. Like, Joe Marler and James Haskell are big boys, are more than capable looking after themselves. But I think that's the great thing, is that we had some great memories of that tour from some of those midweek games, and ultimately I'll remember the performances we had as a team, but also the nights out we had afterwards. And I think that because the Test team don't need us moping around the place. So like, we were in reasonably good form, we trained well against them, we prepared well, and ultimately the reflection is the way they performed, but also I'd like to think a little bit about the way they were prepared.
And that's it. And then I was just going to end it by just saying you're here for Specsavers then today, and it's encouraging people to go and get hearing tests, isn't it? And just kind of make sure that if you're not feeling right about something, go and get it checked. Yeah,
ultimately it's about being an ambassador for the Don't Suffer in Silence campaign. And look, the hearing obviously in my job is very, very important, and I get that checked out just to make sure. And it came about a little bit because I was a little bit paranoid about whenever you get into a room with a lot of noise going on in the background, that I felt that maybe I was struggling to hear conversations. Like, it never affected me playing rugby with sort of 50, 60, 70, 80,000, but for some reason, sometimes in small rooms, so I sort of thought, I want to get this checked out, and I think it's something that I would encourage anyone to do, because some of the statistics around it, that there's 50% or almost 50% of people are worried about losing their hearing, but actually only 25% if they feel something goes wrong that they do anything about it. So like, that's a really worrying statistic. And I think from my point of view, if I can use the fact that I'm here today to say, listen, I know at 55 and above they recommend every 2 years to get your hearing checked. Well, I'm 36 and I'm playing professional sport, and I still think that it's really important for me to get this done reasonably regularly now, to make sure that not just for playing rugby, but for in everyday life, to make sure that I'm not missing something that's going on, because it is a really, really important part of everyday life, is to be able to hear.
Okay, that was Rory Best talking about his grass. He loves that grass, doesn't he?
You really got an inside scoop there, Pat.
Didn't you, Pat? He loves that lawnmower, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, bad into it.
I bought a lawnmower yesterday. A mad turn of events.
A Mountfield?
No, just is that one you get onto?
No, that's just the one I bought a year ago.
Oh no,
Mid-range.
I just have I just bought a regular one.
Yeah.
So my lawnmower broke last October. Not a bad time to break, so because I wasn't going to use it for the rest of the year. Reason it broke. So I moved into my house 11 years ago. Ian Dowling moved in 2 doors down. Asked me after a couple of weeks, could he borrow my lawnmower? And I was like, yeah, go on, borrow the lawnmower. And then about a month later, he said, could he borrow it again? And I said, I'm not at home, just climb the wall and borrow it. So he did. And then that was the end of it. Then about 7 years later, we were out his garden. I was like, your grass is looking great, man. What lawnmower do you have? And he looked at me with a face that clearly said that he was still using my lawnmower. But he had been doing it secretly. So he'd wait for me to leave, and he'd climb the fucking wall and steal my lawnmower. So my lawnmower had been doing double the job for the last few years, and it eventually croaked and broke, so I had to get a new one yesterday.
Yeah.
And
Might go halfers.
No, he moved out last week because of this.
He moved out last week.
Yeah.
So just before he left, he just stuck a spanner in there, like Mrs. Doyle, like on the tea machine. Just wrecked it and moved out.
Yeah.
So you said he jumped. He had to jump over the wall.
And open the side gate.
Ah, right. So
my shed was.
You didn't have to.
lift it over the wall.
Back over the wall.
No, he just.
That's probably what broke it.
And I should have known there was always a trail of grass going from my driveway into his. But I've started doing this thing now because we're not gigging at the moment. I get up at like. I've started. We've got a proper routine that we can live in now because we're not away at weekends or anything like that. So I said I'd do something drastic in my life. So I started getting up at 4:30 in the morning, trying to get as much of my productive day done between 4:30 and 9 o'clock in the morning, and
then go for a nap. Surely.
I don't go to bed till I go to bed at 9 o'clock, so I still get a proper amount of sleep.
Yeah.
But I just said I'd try and do something different to see if I could get more stuff done. But there's very little you can do between 5 o'clock in the morning.
Just get up and sit there.
I had a good sit this morning. I was there for about 40 minutes, just like, oh yeah, it's still dark.
That's weird, you know.
I went for a run at 5, and then I had a sit, and then I really wanted to cut the grass, but I couldn't be that guy that cuts his grass
In the dark.
at 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning. So I had to wait, but I got it in at around 9.
Went for a run at 5. That's a wee bit depressing.
It was. I only did about 20 minutes. Like. Yeah, it was. It won't last. Let's put it that way. Might do it for another few days, but nah.
What did Orla say? Is she encouraging this behaviour?
She doesn't care. She's like, yeah, whatever makes you happy.
See you at tea time.
Yeah, she crawls out of bed at 10. I found Subutio this morning. I was doing that hoarding thing, and I found like Subutio.
Yeah.
Do you remember that game?
Yeah.
What a shit game.
Yes, terrible game.
Worst game.
I never knew. I always thought I was missing something, or just I don't know. But
I have loads of it, and not only that, but I bought this when I was a kid. So I've lived in many different houses since I lived in my parents' house, and the Subutio
has
come with me everywhere. So I pulled that out this morning, and I was like, "Will I set it up and just play a game with the cat or something?"
With Scotty.
Throw the cat in there, throw Scotty in there. So that's the only way Subutio would end up being good, because like the only good part is when you set it up and you have your little formation and stuff, isn't it?
The only chance you're ever going to get to do anything fun is if the ball's right at your feet. And what was your tactics? Did you put your finger on the player's head and then flick him? Or you just...
I used to just set it up and then just go, fuck this. And put it away again.
We are getting work done on our house, actually, so we're living with the in-laws at the minute. And we just had to clear out all downstairs. So I just spent a few days packing up all the kids' stuff. So we're getting like 3 rooms all knocked into one, open plan, be nice and all. And we went to look at the house there, and it's a wreck. You know, they've knocked down 2 walls, but the place is wrecked. And we fell in, and he started crying.
It's a wreck in the house.
Yeah, he goes, "Where's all my toys?" And then we got him cheered up after that. And then he turned around and looked at the kitchen, and he goes, "Where's all our food?"
Did you not explain to him, or did you start laughing at him?
just took a piss out of him more. Made a 5-minute long video winding him up. I'll send you it. But no, when I was packing up all the stuff, it's all upstairs. We did reassure him eventually. We brought him upstairs and showed him like boxes of his. All right, shut up.
Get to grips with it.
Grow up. He's
2 now, come on.
So I was packing everything up into boxes. So we've 2. Jack is we'll be 4 or a couple of months' time. Molly's 2. Between 2 of them, we've got, I'd say, 50 teddy bears or like soft toys. So I thought, right, how many do they need? Like 10, 5 each is a lot.
So you put like a gun to their head and just get them to pick one.
So no, it's not them you need to worry about. It's my wife. Like, she's so nostalgic about all the stuff.
Oh, right.
So I had about 3 boxes filled, 10 teddy bears in each box. And she just took them all out. No, that's whenever he did his first something. That's when he did this year.
Man.
So I was trying to be like that, what do you call it?
Marie Kondo.
Marie Kondo. I was hugging them, chucking them the pots, and she overruled all my hard work.
Really?
Yeah.
God, that gives me anxiety, man. I'm just like, clear it out.
Yeah, I tried to do it without her noticing, but she caught me. She
God,
caught me.
50 teddies. Who needs 50 teddies?
I know.
Is that from people just keep buying your kids presents? Imagine the amount of money it
To be fair, we've bought a lot of them
all, you
because
did.
you're in a garage or something and they crack up because I want that exact teddy. I'm going, you probably have a match at home. If it'll shut you up, I'll get you that teddy. But you do that 50 times.
Come here, speaking of children, did you see the ball boy in at the match last weekend?
Yes.
I tried to get him on the show today. He hasn't responded to me on any social media. So I put this video up of a ball boy at the Leinster Ulster match who took a video of him dunking the tea, his biscuit in his tea, and then just happened to be the perfect timing of the Stockdale incident. I'm sure everyone's seen it,
It's
right?
brilliant, yeah.
Yeah. And then I put it up on Instagram and everyone thought it was me. So I was like, no, this wasn't me. This was a child, clearly, a ball boy who's 10, surely. And then someone responded.
Who would be a
saying-
ball boy if you weren't 10?
Someone responded saying, no, that's his 27-year-old man from Dublin. He's a solicitor. Which is just, mwah. I thought that was glorious. So I wanted to get him on the show to talk about.
Yeah.
He was criticised heavily for his ability to make tea. His tea was too milky.
Yeah, fair enough.
Wasn't it?
It was quite milky, yeah.
Maybe he didn't make the tea, so I wanted him to come on and defend himself on that account.
Yeah. First and foremost.
Yeah, then what kind of bar he had. His bar looked a little bit lidely.
It was
elderly.
it was a breakaway.
Was it?
I thought it was a breakaway.
Looked a bit cheap.
Yeah, I thought
great,
it looked
great
quite
for
cheap,
chippage, yeah.
Yeah.
But his,
For a solicitor.
yeah, his dippage though was so graceful.
I thought he didn't dunk like far enough. I thought he merely tipped the end of the breakaway.
Cautious dipping.
in the hot milk.
I'm quite aggressive,
Yeah.
violent, if you will, with my dippage.
A violent dipper.
Yeah. So I was kind
I've
of.
always heard that about you.
So I was appreciating his little kind of slow, soft dip. But
Yeah.
then the timing of it.
Yeah,
and,
perfect.
Amazing. So
Would it
if
have
you're
been
listening,
would it have been a better video had the try been scored?
no,
Or is it more infamous now? Is it more well
yeah.
known? Is that incident kind of?
way better.
But if that was the winning try,
I think because it makes the whole thing a little bit more funny. I think that's what I
Yeah.
liked about it, because everyone was getting so serious about what happened to
Yeah.
Stockdale, and it was like, yeah, relax, and this
Yeah.
made it all a little
yeah,
bit more
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
So for that reason, when we look back at it, I would always think of that fella as
Yeah.
opposed to thinking that it was the reason they lost the game.
Did you see Jacob made a little bit of a bust in Glasgow's 22, offloaded to Luke Marshall, and Luke was just about to put the ball down. Tommy Seymour just knocked it out, like just poked
Yeah.
through his underneath his elbow and popped the ball out.
What timing for Marshall.
And Jacob was the first man over to him.
Was he?
And he said, at least it wasn't a quarter final, mate.
Did he say that?
Luke didn't find it funny.
Oh yeah, it was that he's kind of slid in his
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, I don't think he wasn't doing anything wrong.
No.
The angle was perfect for Tommy Seymour just to pop it out.
but I think everyone's just got to start diving on the ball.
But he was he was gonna
But, like,
dive.
on your chest, just hold it
Yeah.
tight. Jesus.
So O'Driscoll used to always do that, didn't he?
Yeah.
To like tuck the ball.
Earlsey always does it.
Yeah.
Page 1, how to score a try.
Yeah.
Stuart Hogg. Isn't he the bulb off your man from Train Spotting?
Oh, Spud? No.
No,
Renton.
Sick Boy.
Sick boy, yes.
Yes, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's from, is it Glasgow they lived in as well?
That was Edinburgh, I think.
Edinburgh, Scotland.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry to like.
Bulb off
too many
him.
up there.
He's the head off him. That was the best part of that game for me.
Yeah. There's an argument between Stuart Hogg and John Andrew, the hooker that came off the bench for Ulster.
He could
And
be
the argument went along the lines of John called him bald, which I don't think he's that bald, like a little bit bald. I don't know. Called him
Hogg?
bald, and then Hogg replied, "You're fat." And then, yeah, I know it's your classic argument,
Yeah.
baldness and fatness. And then the camera went to Hogg, and Hogg went like that, like to like symbolise, just to make sure everybody in the stadium knows I'm calling this guy fat.
Oh, what an asshole.
Yeah,
Yeah, he rubs people up the wrong way.
Hogg does.
Yeah.
You can see he was fired up. He was class though, I thought.
But his spiral kicking, I think you mentioned on the commentating.
Yeah.
Why don't people spiral the ball anymore?
But not everybody can do it. Like, it's risky to spiral the ball.
It's not if you just practice it. Like
it is. It's still riskier than end over end.
When I was first started professional rugby, I didn't know how to kick the ball end over end.
You've been out of the game too long, Baz.
But you were But it wasn't a thing back then. You wouldn't do an end over end kick in the 90s and early 2000s.
No, any kicking I did in my mate's back garden, like when we were youngsters learning how to kick, was spiral. 100% spiral.
Because it goes twice as far and the roll on it.
Where did it get me?
I
only kicked the ball once in a 14-year career.
Yeah, I didn't either, actually, to be honest. But yeah, Stuart Hogg's probably the only one that's still doing it.
Yeah.
Kicked 2 or 3 of them in the game. The ball went to length. Now they had a big win behind the backs. Yeah. And probably why Glasgow won the game is that win, I'd say.
Yeah. Although I've been in the backfield when Hogg has misstruck a spiral, and it's more difficult to catch.
Yeah.
So
when they go, they start whipping.
I dropped one of them, actually dropped it backwards. But still.
Yeah. No, huge fan of them.
Yeah, he's flying the flag.
I think that, they were unlucky, Ulster. We won't dwell on it too long now. We'll get quickly to the other games. Thought they could have taken the points at the end of the first half and conceded a try off the back of that to lead them 22-7 down at half time. Rob Little's try, I would have just given it to him.
Yeah.
He was like a millimetre off from getting it properly on the line. I was like, just give it to him. Come on.
Oh, I know.
Such a break. He's class.
He is
Great
class.
player.
He was quiet enough up until that, and then he just came to life. Lovely wee fending someone.
Yeah,
who it was.
Strong boy he looked quite light, but strong.
Yeah.
But look, they've still, obviously, good chance of qualifying if they can beat Edinburgh. Or I think they just have to win one of their last 2, don't they?
I think
to qualify.
To qualify, but to get a home qualifier, they'll need to win both of them.
They'd be happy with either. Munster match. Munster proving that they bring the joy back into their lives and they just start playing class. They were unreal the other night against Cardiff.
Yeah.
Ripped them asunder. Murray was brilliant. Great to see him back to his best.
Really?
Yeah. I think created 3 tries, scored 1, kicked brilliantly. John Murray's just drilling little kicks and kicking like the best kicker in the world. He was unreal.
Were they leaky? Like Cardiff scored. It was cutting back and forth during the Glasgow game. It was cutting back and forth. They
caught them off. They caught them once on a kind of outside 12, and then a couple of times out wide. Just a little bit naive from Munster. Weren't expecting it, I don't think. They're getting up so aggressive. Cardiff just got around them. Yeah. Scored a couple of good tries. You know, Cardiff class team, they can score tries. But Munster's defence again was outside of those 3 tries were brilliant, and they just moved the ball. Finally, when they got out of their 22, the intent was to go play some ball. Conway scored, was his 38th try, I think, for Munster.
Yeah.
What a fucking record. I don't know if it's a record.
Yeah, no, it's his record.
Good number.
Yeah, it's a good number. What a number.
It's a fine number. Connacht, dirty enough game. Away to Zebra. 6-5, yeah.
Sounds like a thriller.
It was. I was putting the lawnmower together while watching that. The lawnmower was winning my attention. But good win. Carty had a tough enough game, but thought they won the battle up front and probably looks like they're in good stead for a semi-final as well.
So they've to beat Cardiff, Pat, yeah?
Yeah.
That will get them 3rd place then, if they beat them at the weekend.
That's in Cardiff, isn't it?
No, it's
at home.
Oh, really?
Galway,
okay.
yeah.
Huge game, and they're gonna struggle with bodies, because that was a battering again on Saturday, and they're gonna have to pretty much play the same team again. So it'll be tough, but I suppose one more big win they can rest them then for the Munster match and for the week of the Champions Cup.
Yeah.
Leinster still feeling a little bit of a hangover from the Six Nations, I think, even though they rested quite a few of the players from the week before. They weren't at full Leinster.
Yeah, but Treviso were on fire at the minute, to be fair.
Yeah.
Now I know no one really generally goes to the RDS and gets an easy ride, but they Treviso were flying, I thought.
Yeah.
I think Munster will have their hands full next weekend.
Yeah, they will. I'd say Munster will rest a lot of players as well.
That's not good for Ulster.
No, it's
can really
not.
do with Munster send over.
Yeah, I'd
decent
say
team.
they'll rest a good few.
You don't think there's any chance that Munster would be incentivised if they can manage to go to Treviso, get a win, and get top? Then not only do they qualify for that semi-final, but it's a week off in between a lot of competitive knockout games.
Well, they're already.
I think that's it.
They're already qualified.
They're out at Glasgow, are out of sight now. Yeah.
Oh, they're gone. Oh, really?
So Munster are already home semi-final.
Then Treviso will beat them.
You never know. They've got a good squad. Like there'll be a lot of lads playing for positions there, you know, for spots. So, and you know they're playing so well that they don't want to rest everyone. You know, I'd say they'll rest the Irish guys. Like O'Mahony was immense the weekend. CJ again, or Connor. I'd say they'll rest the three of them, potentially Earlsey. But a lot of the rest of them could play. You know.
Sorry to be very Ulster oriented. if they don't get a win this weekend, if Treviso beat them over there, then Treviso have Zebra in the last game, so that Treviso will get 9 points from that. Then that means Ulster have to go to Edinburgh, beat Edinburgh, and then beat Leinster at home.
I think they only have to win one of them.
Sorry, only one of them to get an away, but they have to stay ahead of them.
Okay, right.
Isn't that right? They have to win both. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were you saying about Munster?
Well, we asked you to vote on the Guinness Made of More Irish Player of the Weekend. Your nominees were Peter O'Mahony and CJ Stander of Munster. And this is to win shirt.
We'll give him the option.
A shirt and the shoes.
Let's send him. let's send him the option. See, no, those shoes they'll suit him.
Okay.
So don't give that option. We'll send him a picture afterwards and he can pick.
Okay. The other nominees were Leinster's Max Deegan, who had like 29 tackles for Leinster on last night.
Yeah.
It was I think Leinster had 300 and what?
306 tackles. Yeah.
306 tackles in the game. 200 and something against Ulster last week. So that's 500 tackles in 2 games. Fucking
That's Treviso though. That's what they do. Yeah. Treviso are my second favourite team at the minute.
Behind who?
Behind the Wildlings.
Also, Connacht's captain Jared Butler, who's unreal. I'd love if Gary could do a little video of him being Jared Butler in the 300 and kicking your man into the hole and just stick his head on there. Yeah. For someone, if it's worthy, yes, if it's worthy, if they win a semi-final or something. Yeah. If they beat Cardiff, Gary, could you do that? We're making Gary's life.
Cheers, Gary. Yeah.
So the winner is of the Guinness Made More Irish Player. Do you know what? I love that Guinness are our sponsors. I was thinking about this when you were talking about how Shabal did the thingy that he's just selling his soul. Yeah. Whereas, like, I love Guinness. I love drinking pints of Guinness.
Yeah.
I'd hate if we were sponsored by
Smithwick's.
Yeah. Setzenbra or something like that.
Erdinger.
No way to Erdinger.
Together and Joe with Erdinger.
Guinness, I love a creamy meniscus on a pint of Guinness. I think I might go for one after this.
Just the meniscus?
Yeah, that little cream. Because we normally do this on Monday mornings at 8 o'clock and I can't really go for a pint of Guinness afterwards.
Well, have you been up since 4:30? It's time for a Guinness.
But this is like, what time are we now? 6 o'clock on a Sunday? Definitely deserve a pint. But anyway, the Guinness Made of More Player of the Weekend is... Who is it? Peter O'Mahony? Peter O'Mahony.
Wow, after all that big build-up.
We cock up the delivery.
Yeah. So he's going to get, I think, that shirt, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
He's not getting my pineapples.
I want this shirt.
Just get him another one. It costs you $5.
I got another one. Okay. Pat, have we enough budget to start sending out shirts?
Oh yeah. The bottomless, endless budget we have here. Yeah.
The background, actually, have we explained?
No.
The reason why we're wearing these shirts?
No.
First of all, to celebrate 1 million listeners and viewers, but also the live show in Belfast. We were sitting having a drink after the show, and we both turned around at the exact same time and saw this couple, and she was wearing leopard print and he was wearing, I don't know if it was pineapple,
something
but it was
similar.
Hawaiian anyway. Yeah. And we were like, caught eyes, we were like, that is a look. we need to be nailing.
But I thought we were both getting leopard print, but obviously... But you just took your phone out right there and then at like 1 o'clock in the morning and ordered them on Amazon. Yeah. Which was brilliant. I've never seen anyone do that.
Yeah, so that you got the bug now.
Yeah.
Did you order your lawnmower on Amazon?
No. But I've been buying loads of shit that I don't need.
My lawnmower on Amazon.
I'll send you one. Okay, we'll wrap up here. We put out a shout for your Twitter questions using the hashtag Ask HOR, and here are some of your finest. Question 1, Simon Kelly. It was fabulous to see Ireland's sevens make the World Series. How hard would it be for Jordan Roy, Jesus, to move to 15s? Question mark. Awfully man, but could do well with Connacht, I think. Well done, the sevens, by the way.
Yeah, I know, brilliant.
What a life they're going to have, the fuckers, for
Just
next
turn
year.
around, living it up.
Turn around, having the crack. Just going. People expect them to be on the piss all the time, don't they? Like.
Yeah, it's a far cry from growing up in Offaly. Dubai, Vegas. Where are you from, mate? You ain't heard of it.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest. I think that's what everyone thought when they won. It's not like, oh yeah, great for Irish rugby. It's like, fuckers. Yeah. You're gonna have the time of your lives. Just go around with those selfie sticks all the time. That's all they seem to be doing. But they were brilliant. Fair play. Jordan Conroy is going to be a superstar in that field, and obviously potentially could be a 15s player as well.
Absolutely.
But I'd say he'll want to stay in that world for a couple of years. So
yeah,
I would say, when is the next Olympics? 2 years' time?
It's 2020, so they're having qualifiers for that there this summer, so
That's right.
They could qualify for the Olympics then as well, yeah.
So I'd say that bunch of players will stick at sevens for the next 2 years at least. Like, you don't want to be going
if
back and
they
forth.
qualify for the Olympics, then hang around, yeah.
Yeah.
Will we put that in the podcast plan? Can we go to the World Cup?
Yeah,
Go to the Olympics.
Yeah, go to a couple of live shows.
Yeah. Yeah, I love sevens. We should talk more about sevens.
I love Wimbledon.
Well, this is proper Wimbledon attire. We'd fit right
We
in
would get
Wimbledon.
fucked out of Wimbledon dressed like this.
Owen's World Cup idea. We got a DM off a guy called Owen who said, lads, you're like me best mates. I've never met. Oh, sorry. Like my best mates I've never met. And because of that, I'm going to share my terrific idea to make a fortune over in Japan. Maybe Tommy Bowen, his 15 Kings clothing brand, might want a piece of the action. But before I say any more about this amazing notion, I want you to think back to South African Soccer World Cup and think, vuvuzelas. What a phenomenon. I'm sure you would agree. Anyway, back to Japan, and here's my notion. What do you think? Rugby sumo nappies. Think of it, it's foam with material right up your arse, tied like a belt around your waist and sold in your nation's colours. Clothes worn under the nappy at the discretion of the wearer, but imagine for Ireland a green nappy with a shamrock or a harp or a leprechaun on the crotch, a red one for Wales with a dragon, a prickly rose and an English crotch in white, and the Aussies get a kangaroo in theirs. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's quite long-winded.
Was that a question?
Yeah. Would you repeat the question, please, Matt? Sign us up.
Yeah. Tommy Bowe's enough going on for himself.
I know, leave Tommy out of it.
Yeah. We want.
He's already got 2 successful clothing businesses.
Yeah. We've none.
We're going to start with an unsuccessful one by the sounds of it. Yeah. See how that goes.
So the nappy, the pineapple shirt, and the Timberland shoes.
Yeah, I want a leopard print nappy. Oh. And the Timberland shoes.
The Timberland shoes. Wow. He could be onto something.
Yeah.
It's, rugby fans love that kind of crack.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not even finished. There was more on the other page.
I know, I saw that. That's why I was waiting for you to finish
You
reading.
can find a manufacturing firm willing to roll this off, and of course distribution around Japan is vital. Pat is slowly moving around the room here in his chair, about to tell me something. Move on with this question. Yeah, Owen, sign us up, man. You just make them, and you can stick our names on them. We want 90%.
We will promote your nappies. I was going to say free of charge, but we really need to. It's going to be an expensive trip.
Yeah.
If he pays for flights, we'll wear his nappies. Deal?
Yeah, to Wimbledon.
2 trips, Wimbledon and the World Cup.
And the World Cup. Right, thanks everybody for your comments, questions, for listening on all your favourite apps over 1 million times, and for watching on YouTube. We're absolutely blown away. Big thank you to everyone that was involved in making the show this week, also to Paul, Fiona, Anthony, and of course Pat. This has been Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby on Joe, together with lovely pints of Guinness. Thanks for keeping us company.
Party on, Baz.
Party on, Trimble.